On today's episode of Chicago Bears Now, I rank the Bears' options of what they could do with the number 10 pick in the NFL draft. Ryan Poles, Ben Johnson, they said that the entire board is open based on what they've done in free agency and on the trade market. They got a lot of tape to watch, as they said. So I will go through my scenarios of what I think they should do. And again, subject to change between now and the NFL draft. Okay. I think these three players are locks to be gone in the first 9 picks before the Bears pick at 10. I don't know who will take them. I don't know where they'll go. But Travis Hunter, Adbul Carter, Cam Ward will all go in the top 9 picks and probably in the top 5. So that's a third of the picks before the Bears pick gone. Okay, so you know that. After that, I don't think I could have even put a fourth player in there that is a lock to be gone. I think Shedeur Sanders will be gone. I think Mason Graham will probably be gone. But with smaller measurables, maybe he slides a little bit. So draft is kind of wide open. To be clear, if you are a Bears fan, you want as many quarterbacks to go before the Bears pick at number 10, because obviously Chicago will not be drafting a quarterback. All right, before we get to my scenarios and how I rank them, should the Bears go best player available at number 10, just regardless? Big board, boom, best player, you take them. Type Y for yes, type in for no. They're certainly in position to do that if they want to. Okay, let's rank my options of what to do at number 10. To me, if Mason Graham slides to 10, his arms are a little shorter. He was a little light at the combine. We kind of found out he slimmed up because he was going to work out. Then he bruised his heel, so he decided not to work out. He played at 315 last year. I'm not worried about his playing weight. If he is available at 10, sprint to the podium. And I like a lot of other players we're going to talk about here. But to me, this is the fourth-ish best player in this draft, maybe even third. I probably would say third. I'd probably go Travis Hunter 1, Adbul Carter 2, Mason Graham 3. If he's there at 10, I just think the value's too good. You could still use a defensive tackle, certainly, as well. I'd be sprinting to the podium if he's available. All right, I got a 2A, 2B situation. Let's start with 2A. Draft Armand Membou. He's got an asterisk there. And the asterisk is this. If the Bears believe that Armand Membou, the offensive lineman out of Missouri, who has excellent tape, has 2 years starting at right tackle, 1 year starting at right guard, he's got positional versatility, at least on the right side. If they believe, after a great combine as well, that he can be a long-term answer at left tackle, that he could compete with Braxton Jones in the short term and long-term be an answer at left tackle, to me, he's the number 2 guy here. If not, he's probably a couple spots further down the list. If they're like, we don't like him at left tackle, okay, I'd still be interested in him, but there's not really a spot for him to play this year. And if right tackle's his best position, well, I think Darnell Wright's your answer long-term there. So he'd probably be a few spots down, and you'd probably play him at guard down the road. Okay, 2B, Ashton Jeanty. Again, if they think he could be a left tackle, I'd go Membou 2, Jeanty 3. If they don't think he'd be a left tackle, or if there's a question mark in their mind, I'd go Jeanty 2 and then Membou further down the list. Ashton Jeanty is a terrific prospect. Like, I think people are getting draft fatigue on him for whatever reason. I think he's outstanding. I'm not saying he's Saquon, but I think he's close to a Bijan Robinson. Not necessarily like same exact skill set, but in terms of caliber of prospect. I've talked about the contact balance. It's some of the best I've ever seen. 5'8.5", he's big enough. I think he uses that to his advantage. He's 211 pounds at that height, by the way. Tree trunks of legs. To me, he's like a more juiced up Ray Rice. That's kind of what I see. I've seen the other comp I've seen is a more juiced up Maurice Jones-Drew. I think those are both good ones. And by the way, those are 2 great players. They were good backs in this league for a long time. So if his floor is kind of what they brought to the table, like that's a pretty good pick. This is a high floor, high ceiling pick. I think at worst, he's a good pro. At best, he's top 3, top 5 running back in this league at some point in his career. I think he can be a better pass catcher in the pros than he was last year because they just ran him so much. They limited his, involvement in the passing game. The year prior, I think he had like 500 receiving yards, so he's certainly capable of that. We know Ben Johnson wants to pair someone with DeAndre Swift. I think if there's betting odds, he would be the favorite to be the Bears pick at number 10. Okay, number 4, because 2A, 2B, 2-3. Draft Will Campbell. Another asterisk here. Because there's questions with some of these high offensive linemen. Can they play tackle? Can they play guard? I'm less confident Will Campbell can play left tackle or really tackle at all. It's not just the arm length being under 33 inches. There are exceptions to that. The kid in Indy, Bernard Raymond, he's 32 and 6/8, I think. Will Campbell's 32 and 5/8. Rashawn Slater is like right at 33, which is on the low end for a left tackle. But it's the wingspan too. Willie Lampkin, the Notre Dame or the North Carolina guard center, is 5'10", 275. He has a longer wingspan than Will Campbell. So it's not just the arm length, it's the wingspan. Can he get by at tackle because he's such a freak athlete and his footwork is that good? I think it's possible. But to me, like if I'm viewing this from a scout's perspective, that's a tough sell. I've said I think he can be a really good guard. I think he could be an awesome center. Maybe you'd feel good about him at right tackle. That's not what the Bears need, though. Would I still like the pick at 10? Yeah. But there may not be a spot for him this year, and long-term you may have to play him at guard. I just like other guys better. That's why I have him at 4. He's not necessarily a worse prospect than Armand Membou, but Membou has more measurables, I think, which gives him an opportunity to play left tackle. Again, if the Bears don't view him that way, probably have him lower, maybe even lower than Will Campbell, but that's where I sit with him. Pick an offensive lineman. Who would you rather draft at number 10? It's like AM for Armand Membou, WC for Will Campbell. I think Campbell's a slightly better overall prospect. I think his tape's a little better, but I think Membou potentially gives you more versatility and the ability to play tackle, especially on the left side. Even though Campbell's played that in college, I think it's going to be tougher for him to do it in the pros. Okay, number 5, draft Tyler Warren, Penn State tight end. Listen, this guy's rising for me. I think the gap between him and Jeanty from a skill player perspective is not that wide. If you took him over a Will Campbell because you had issues with his arm length, again, the asterisk there, if you don't think he can play left tackle, slide him down even more. I'd have no problem with that. I would take Jeanty over him. That's why I have Jeanty ahead of him. But Tyler Warren is rising up my list. He was not even somewhat of an option for me a month, 2 months ago, but Detroit runs a lot of 12 personnel. Tyler Warren, when I compare him to Brock Bowers from a year ago, Brock Bowers, I think, went 13th in the draft last year. I don't think the gap from a prospect standpoint between Brock Bowers and Tyler Warren, who had a monster year for Penn State last year, you see the versatility. They used a Wildcat package with him. You think about a creative mind like Ben Johnson, what he could do with this guy. I really, it gets me pretty excited, man. He can block. He can run routes. You can line him up in the backfield. The Lions' offense last year was 3rd in the NFL in 12 personnel, a.k.a. 2 tight end sets, over 32% of their offensive snaps. Pair him with Cole Kmet. I like Cole Kmet a lot. I don't think you can get that creative with him, though. He's kind of just a solid all-around tight end. Tyler Warren you can do some different things with. And also, Tyler Warren can take some of the workload off Kmet. And honestly, long-term, Warren becomes your top guy. Kmet, you probably phase him out if you went this route 2-3 years down the road. So I'm open to this. If you told me today, crystal ball came in, hey, they're going to take Tyler Warren, I'd be happy with it. Again, not my top option, but he's much more on my radar and under consideration than he was even just a few weeks ago. All right, a lot more scenarios to come. We just went through 5. I've got 5 more. Prize Picks, daily fantasy, made easy. 10 million users and counting playing Prize Picks in North America. You should be one of them. If Prize Picks is available in your state, which they're available in more than 30 states, get signed up. It's the best daily fantasy sports app out there, and it's just simple. A lot of these, sports and different things, these games you can play, it's so complicated. Prize Picks is simple. You set lineups of 2 or more players on 2 or more different teams, regardless of sport, and you pick more or less on the stats available. X player to score 22.5 points. You think he's going to score more or less, you just select it. Multiple choice, 2 options. Very easy. Those are always the easiest tests in school, right? Give me a few options, I'll select an answer. If I have to think of the answer to choose, I'm probably going to get it wrong. More or less, 50-50 chance, boom, you are good to go. I got a 2-player lineup going here with Austin Reeves, more on his points, rebounds, assists. I got Kobe White, more on his points. He's been pretty good. Come back and check if I got this one right. $5 to win 15. Certain lineups you can win up to 1,000 times your entry. It's fun. It's easy. Get in on all the action, especially in basketball as things are heating up on the court. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. And if you're a first-time customer and use the code CLNS when you sign up, you're going to get a $50 bonus once you play for just $5. Check out PrizePicks today. Link is in the comments and description of this video. Okay, number 6, trade down. If all 5 of those guys on the left side of the screen are gone, I would trade down. And by the way, that could happen. I mentioned the 3 guys, Cam Ward, Adbul Carter, and Travis Hunter. Well, that's 3 out of 9, right? If those 5 guys, which are right here, Mason Graham, Armand, Membou, Ashton Jeanty, Will Campbell, Tyler Warner also gone, there's 6 more picks, so 3 plus 5, it could happen. I would guess one of these guys gets there, but if not, I'm trading down. I don't love the next batch of players at 10. We'll get to a couple guys. We'll talk about that if you do have to stay at 10, that you could go that route. But I think in this scenario where those 8 players are off the board, obviously you wouldn't draft Cam Ward, but just taking up a slot, I would try to trade down. Again, takes 2 to tango, can't force it, but if you could find a trade, even if you're not getting great value, if you get okay value, I'd probably do that to get the extra draft capital. Okay, number 7, draft an edge. Don't love it. It is a premium position. There are players in this draft I do like. After Adbul Carter, I don't love the edge draft. I actually do really like Mike Green. I just don't know if he's a fit for the Bears. He's 8th percentile on arm length. That would go against everything Dennis Allen has ever thought in his edge rushers. They just signed Dayo Adengbu. He's the opposite of Mike Green, right? Now, maybe they would view it like, okay, he gives us a different look. We think he's that talented. We'll make it work. Okay. But that's typically against what his defenses have had. Shamar Stewart, athletic freak, production not there. Michael Williams, some production, pretty athletic, didn't test quite as well as I thought. I like him more in a trade down. I like Shamar Stewart more in a trade down. So again, like, if you trade down for one of these guys, cool. Don't love it at 10, but sometimes you get stuck and you have to make a pick. So maybe drafting an edge could happen. Okay. We're not going anywhere. Videos every single day here on Chicago Bears Now. At least 2 videos per day. Live shows twice a week. More if there's breaking news. We got you guys covered. Hit that sub button. We'll have a new mock draft out soon as well. So stay tuned for that. These are the guys, by the way, if you do trade down. I mentioned Mike Green. James Pierce Jr., really talented guy. Not sure what the off-field stuff is there. Stewart and Williams, talented, but production wasn't always there. Donovan Ezeraku is rising, but he's kind of more in the Mike Green mold. I think he's probably more of a 3-4 edge. Would the Bears view him as a 4-3? I'm not sure. But those would be some of the guys I would consider. Okay. Number 8, draft Tetairoa McMillan. I'll be honest, from a player standpoint, I like McMillan more than any of the edges other than Adbul Carter, obviously. But I'll be a little realistic. Like, as much as I've said BPA, and I'm still BPA. If they took McMillan, I'd sign up for it. I just don't love going receiver in round 1 here. You did that last year. You've paid DJ Moore a lot of money. You have Cole Kmet. Like, you don't need to take Tet McMillan. Like, to me, if you took Tet McMillan, DJ Moore is probably off this team in 12 months. That would be my guess. Now, he's a freak. He's fluid at 6'4", 6'5". He has incredible ball skills. I think you could get a lot out of the guy. Like, I think he's a great player. I just think it's so low on the list of needs to draft a high-end receiver. You need a receiver, just not a high-end guy, that it would be pretty low on my list, but he's talented as hell. I do think he's probably one of the 10 best players in this draft. Okay, number 9, trade up for Adbul Carter. The reason I have it lower is I just simply don't think he'll get low enough where I would consider drafting him. I mentioned he's a lock to be gone in the first 9 picks before the Bears pick, but could he get past 5? If he gets past the number 5 pick, it's on my radar. Like, I will gladly admit that. If the Raiders are on the clock at 6 and Adbul Carter's there, I make a phone call. Can I get him without giving up a future first? Would 10, 39, or 41 and like a day 3 pick get it done? Future day 3 pick? I would think about that. Like, that's an offer I can get behind. But the reason I have it low is because I'm not trading up to 3. I'm not trading up to 4. 6, 7, okay, we can have a conversation. I just think it's so unlikely that it's almost moot to even talk about it. And then the last scenario, like if this is the worst case scenario, I'd be okay with it, but I think all these other scenarios are probably better options. Draft Omarion and Hampton at 10. And the reason I'd be okay with it is, one, I think he's a very safe pick. Like, I think he's a 3-down back in the NFL. He can mesh well with Swift. Like, okay. Now, to me, you're reaching, like, this is like taking the 18th, 20th best player in the draft at 10. I don't love doing that. But for a guy that is probably not going to miss, like you at least think he's going to be a good player, I'd be okay with it. We saw the Lions take Jahmyr Gibbs at 12. They got ripped for it. It's worked out very well. Not saying Hampton's going to have the same impact, but with that logic, you've got the coach who was a part of a regime that did that. I'd be okay with it. And remember, sometimes you get on the clock, you don't love the options, you try to trade, and there's no trade. You got to pick somebody, right? Maybe they'd rather take Hampton than Shamar Stewart. I probably would, if I'm being honest. The reason I'd edge higher is because it's a more premium position. Obviously, you just got to be prepared for every situation. So that's my 10th scenario. I don't think it would come to that. But, like, I'd rather trade. Like, trading down for Hampton would be pretty high on my list. But, you know, I can't go over 65 scenarios. Otherwise, we're going to be here all day. Okay, what would you do with the number 10 pick? Those are my 10 kind of, I think, realistic-ish scenarios, how I would rank them if they came to fruition. What would you do with the 10th pick if you were the Chicago Bears? Give us your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We will continue to pump out draft content as we get closer and closer to April's NFL Draft. Make us your home for Bears draft content on YouTube by subscribing and turning on notifications.